Welcome to r/TrueOffMyChest, where this man tells the story of how one text message ripped up his family and destroyed a wedding. I accidentally caused a war between my family and my brother's wife's family with one innocent text message. So, my brother's wedding happened 2 days ago, and it turned into complete chaos, which I know about even though I wasn't there. You might wonder why I didn't attend the wedding if it's my brother's. Well, it's because of his wife's family. He did send me an invitation to the wedding because he wanted me there, but his fiancée told him I couldn't attend because I had a boyfriend. You might be confused, but I'm a man, a bisexual man to be exact, and I have a boyfriend who I wanted to bring to the wedding. She said that even though she doesn't have a problem with that, and he doesn't have a problem with that, her extremely religious parents, who already forced her to do the wedding in a church, would most likely banish us from the wedding and cause trouble between our families. After she told him that, my brother told me I couldn't attend and told me why. You might think I was angry, but the truth is I was relieved. I hate going to big events with lots of people because of my social anxiety, and I was already used to not being able to attend certain events because of my sexuality, so it was nothing I haven't heard before. The day of the wedding, I stayed at home with my boyfriend. It's worth mentioning, my parents apparently didn't know that I wasn't attending the wedding. I was chilling at home, cuddling with my boyfriend, when I suddenly got a text message from my parents asking me where I was, as they couldn't find me at the wedding party. I told them I wasn't attending the wedding, and if my brother hasn't told them that. They said no and asked me what happened. Now, I didn't see any reason to lie here, so I sent them a text message telling them exactly why. Now, I have to admit, I don't know exactly what happened after that, because they read it and didn't reply, but why do they care in the first place? They didn't notice I wasn't there before until the wedding was pretty much already over. They only noticed when the wedding party started. However, apparently my parents talked to my brother about it, and all of a sudden my absence was the main topic of the wedding party. From what I heard, two fronts formed. On the one hand, my parents and the rest of my family against the family of my brother's wife, and apparently he as a husband now felt compelled to take her side and tried to argue in her favor. It's crazy to think that I was just sitting at home living my best life with my boyfriend while all of that went down at this wedding. The wedding party was ruined and my brother appeared at my door, angrily screaming at me as to why I felt the need to ruin his wedding. I was confused and asked him what happened, and he told me everything. I told him it wasn't my intention, I just told our parents what happened because they didn't know and wanted to know where I was, and I thought that he told them beforehand. He screamed at me that I ruined his wedding. I told him it's not my fault that he wasn't honest with them. I just respected their wish to not attend the wedding. I couldn't have known it would go down like this because, like I said, I couldn't attend several events before because of my sexuality, and my parents never said anything about it, so I thought it would be the same thing here. But I gotta admit, it's kind of sweet that my parents and the rest of my family stood up for me. They haven't done before. That's a more than welcome change. However, I still kind of feel bad because apparently I really ruined the wedding party. Right, well, first of all, OP, you did absolutely nothing wrong. I get why you feel bad, but come on, you can't have too much guilt for literally telling the truth. You were asked the question by your parents, why aren't you here? You told them the exact answer. What, you can't be blamed for that. It's just what happened. The people that really ruined the wedding party are, well, actually your brother as well, to be fair. Your brother, his new wife, but most importantly, his new wife's family. I mean, come on. It's just homophobic. Simple as that. Homophobia ruins weddings. I've said it for a long time now. And it also rips up families. I mean, that actually is the truth. So, yeah, if anyone's to blame, it's definitely not you. I've got to say as well, I mean, I know I kind of glossed over it there as well, but I've got to say, your brother has behaved terribly in this. First of all, how about don't marry someone whose whole family is homophobic? Second of all, don't use that as an excuse to not invite your brother to your own wedding. Like, honestly, I don't even know who's worse here. The wife, your brother, or your wife's family. All pretty awful. I'll just say that. Right then, now moving on to something a little bit more heavy. My husband died thinking our kids didn't love him. My husband and I, both in our mid-40s, met in college. He was the sweetest, kindest, most helpful and supportive, and overall best person from the time I met him until his death. We have 3 kids. 2 girls, 22 and 18, and a 16-year-old boy. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer a year and a half ago and succumbed to it 3 weeks ago. Everyone was devastated. Our kids have been struggling a lot and I'm barely hanging on myself. He was the glue that held everyone together and my rock for over 20 years. Our oldest daughter is especially having a hard time. She's expressed guilt and regret over not spending as much one-on-one time with him, and it's been hitting her hard. A few days after the funeral, I went to visit his younger brother, who was 38, to check on him. He was very close to my husband and also lost his wife a few years back and was pretty much alone outside of his parents while also looking after his 12-year-old twins. Besides me, he probably visited my husband the most in hospital. This is where things get devastating. My brother-in-law confessed that one day while visiting, more towards the end of his life, my husband expressed that he felt like his kids didn't love him and will have an easy time getting over his death. He said he actually was happy that it was him dying and not me, because if it were me, then it would be 4 people mourning, whereas he felt that with himself dying, they'd be sad for a bit, but would get over it, and would just be there to help me grieve. This absolutely killed me. I wish you could see how much his children miss him. I can't even imagine being in his position and feeling like your kids don't care. I cried heavily when my brother-in-law told me that. When our first daughter was born, he was so happy to be a father and wanted to be the best dad he could. As the years went by and we had all of our kids, they seemed to gravitate to me, and he noticed. It's not like he didn't try, he was very involved. He went to as many extracurriculars as he could, would try and hang out with them, and constantly told them he was an ear if they needed to talk. But it seems like they only wanted to hang out with me. If I asked to go to a one-on-one lunch, they'd go. But if he did, there was always an excuse. They'd tell me something important going on in their lives, and when I told their father, thinking he knew, he was oblivious. I was always posted to their social media accounts for Mother's Day and my birthday, while he wasn't. He always felt left out and would make small joking comments that hinted on how he felt without expressing it fully. I just brushed it off as him joking. I'm even more distraught now. I feel so much sorrow for him feeling that way. I'm also starting to wonder if I demanded their attention and took any away from him. It's weighing on me heavily, and I have no idea how to even move forward. Especially since my oldest daughter actually expressed regretting not spending more one-on-one time with him. It's been hitting her hard, and she's been staying with me since his passing. She's been a wreck just like me and has said, I hope he knew how much I loved him. And it kills me to know that he didn't know. I hate everything. Wow. And this one really hits hard. I mean, I said it's going to be heavy. Goodness me, that is truly tragic. All you can really hope, I guess, is that in your husband's kind of final state where his mind and body are not going to be at their best, clearly. I mean, dealing with an illness that eventually killed him. Maybe he wasn't thinking clearly and perhaps he didn't actually think the things that he was saying and it was kind of just an end of life thing. I don't know. I'm trying to give you something to hold on to. Ultimately, I can't really blame anyone here. It is kind of a fact that, you know, a lot of children do favor one parent over the other. Like, you know, in the same way that you favor one person over the other, just in general. Just because they're your parents, it doesn't mean you have to love both of them exactly equally or get on with both of them exactly equally. Not love. I'm sure that your children loved both parents, you and your husband equally. But, you know, you probably get on with one parent a little bit better. And it just happens that way. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You're going to feel terrible about that. Kind of wish you'd never heard it, I guess. But I feel like, you know at least that despite the fact that he felt that way, it isn't the truth. And I think you have to take solace in that fact. I mean, don't take away from the fact that it's incredibly sad. And there's nothing I can really say to sugarcoat that. It's heartbreaking. Nonetheless, let's move on. Now for our third True Off My Chest story. I accidentally fell into a family with my best friend, and it's the best thing to ever happen to me. I do want to leave this anonymous because I know my now girlfriend, Lily, is on Reddit, and I don't know if she'll see this. I had a very rough childhood growing up. I didn't have a dad, and my mum was never really there because she had a rough battle with health issues and got hooked on narcotics. I had friends growing up, but I had my best friend since I was 12. Her name is Lily. We've been extremely close due to our childhood issues, and we'd always been there for each other. We had talks of being together, but got cold feet because we were scared if it didn't work, we couldn't recover from that. When I was 18, I didn't really want to go to college. School had never been for me. So I went into a trade. I work long hours, but it's been worth it, and I make solid money right now for my position. I'll come back to this in a bit. When we were 19, Lily got pregnant with her boyfriend. The dude somehow managed to avoid child support payments and broke up with her and hasn't seen the kid once in his life. Complete deadbeat makes me disgusted. Lily was scared, but I told her I would be here when she needed. She didn't have parents that would help, but I told her I'd help where I can when the kid gets here. Lo and behold, she gave birth to a beautiful little girl named Kelsey. I was there when she was born, and it was a weird moment. I don't know how to explain it, but I did feel happy for her. Now we're 21, and ever since then, this little girl has had me wrapped around her finger. I've done my round of the diapers, bottles, middle of the night screaming, etc. Every day I get home from work, we sit there and we watch her little shows, and we spend a lot of time together as the three of us as well. When we walk, she grabs my pointer finger with her whole hand because it's so little. She stands up and kisses me on the cheek after I change her, and she loved her snuggles where she just lays on top of me with her head laid up against my chest. As of recently, she's begun speaking. She's been calling me daddy. I've been feeling really weird about it lately, feeling like it's not right and that someday she needs to know the truth. I talked to Lily about it one night and got her opinion on it. She sat there with a slight grin, and then she came up behind me and hugged me. She said, "You're the best dad she could ever ask for," and then proceeded to tell me, "We'll worry about talking to her when she understands. As far as she is concerned, you are her daddy and you are to me as well." I turned around and hugged her. We had a long talk about what's been going on lately with us, as we've been engaging in not so just friends activities. And she just said, "I like this. I like our family." I just kind of froze for a second, asked her, "Is this what we want to do?" And she followed up by saying, "I think we've been doing this for a while now," and then laughed. We had a great moment and agreed to be a family. I told her I needed to run to the drugstore for some diapers for Kelsey. On the way there, I burst into tears. I cried for maybe a good 30 minutes. I don't even know how to describe what I was thinking and feeling, but I was happy. I just know that there isn't a thing in this world I wouldn't do for those two. It feels like I can relax and reflect on everything that's happened to this point. But also, I don't. I basically have a family I'm looking out for. Like, no matter what happens, I have people who will depend on me, and something like that makes me want to be the best man I can. In about another year, I will have my official license for my trade, giving me a substantial pay rise and a new job that I've already lined up. I've already started looking at houses and rings. We've also talked about having our own once I get my license. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I wanted to share it with someone. However, I don't really have those people in my life. And there we go. That is the beauty of this subreddit. You go from the lowest of lows in the previous story to the most wholesome of wholesomes in this one. Just a great read. Like, that is just a brilliant story. I've loved every second of that. What's great is that, you're clearly both very sensible people, you and Lily. And the fact of the matter is, you had this discussion a long time ago and thought, maybe not at this time, but eventually you just fell into it. And it's worked out magically. And yeah, I mean, realistically, reading through this, I don't know you guys obviously, but reading through this, it does seem like that is, it was meant to be. You're made for each other. And if it's working so well right now, yeah, why not make it official? Keep it going, enjoy your lives, and have your own kid. Class story. However, we do have time for just one more, which might not be so wholesome. Just a word of warning. And now for our final true off my chest of this episode. My husband is cheating on me with my best friend. I'm honestly not sure where to start, so I guess I'll just start. My husband and I have been dating since I was 19 and he was 22. We've been married for 6 years now. We have 2 kids and I'm 6 months pregnant with our third. 2 years ago, I found out my dad has stage 3 colon cancer. My dad is my only parent as my mum passed away when I was 12. He's my favorite human and life without him doesn't seem as colorful. His laugh is contagious and he gives these big bear hugs that seem to make all of your broken pieces feel like they're perfectly in place again. Whenever I've had a hard day, he doesn't poke and prod and just lets me vent and listens. About 5 months ago, we discovered the treatments aren't working for him. And in direct quote of the doctor, he said, months, not years. Since then, he's gotten progressively worse and now is losing memory. He looked at the dog he got me on my 21st birthday and said, "Wow, that's a nice dog. Where'd you get it?" My husband has been my absolute rock. He's been there for me, holding my hand and helping me through this. He's been so loving and attentive to both my kids and I. Don't get me wrong, I'm a mother first, always. I don't allow myself to wallow. My kids are still loved, cared for, played with, and I haven't let my load slack around the house. Once my dad got his updated prognosis, my husband encouraged me to quit my job. About a month later, we discovered we were pregnant again, and I still hadn't let go of my job. I kept holding out for some reason. After finding out I was pregnant again, he assured me it was still okay to quit my job. That honestly, it would save us a small fortune on daycare costs anyways. So I did. I quit my job. My best friend and I have been friends since diapers. Her family is like my family and vice versa. My mum and her mum grew up together. We've always been solid, and right after my dad's appointment, when we found out he had so little time left, I drove straight to her house and she held me while I cried for hours. If there are soulmates in friend form, she was mine. Thick as thieves is what my mum used to say. This morning, as I was up with my 3-year-old, he's sick, my husband's work alarm was going off. He has a few he sets, so I turned that one off and gently woke him up. He said he was up late working, so he took the morning off. Rolled over and went back to sleep. As I went to turn off the remainder of his alarms, I saw a text from my friend on his lock screen that said, "I'm assuming since there hasn't been an angry pregnant lady on my doorstep, you haven't told her about us yet." Time froze in that moment. I took his phone and walked away and just read their conversations. 4 months, this man has been screwing my best friend. 4 months, these people have been lying to my face. And I know what you're gonna say. You should have seen the warning signs. But I've been clutching this phone in my hand for 2 hours and nothing. He's been so loving and attentive to me, but he always has been. So kind and gentle. There have been no late night work nights except for once in a blue moon, no lingering touches between them or even glances. They act as they have since the day I first introduced them. How sick is it that she calls him her brother, but she screws him? I know so many people get a moment of clarity in situations like this, but I have none. Aside from being sad about my dad, I haven't changed. I'm still a loving wife and mother. I still doted on him and my children. I talk to him about how he's doing and how was his day every frickin' day. I haven't allowed the ground to swallow me whole. I know what I have to do now, but I just don't want to. I'm about to lose my family and my support system in one blow. I'll confront him tomorrow. Today, I just need this last 24 hours of peace. As for her, I won't give her the satisfaction of a response. I don't care why she did it, and it's done. I was always the friend who cleaned up her messes. After today, I will cut her out of my life like she never mattered at all. This has to be the hardest storm I'll ever weather. But dang it, I know I'll sail through it. If not for me, for my children. What a way to end this episode. Now guys, in the past, I've done something at the end of these episodes where they've been kind of negative, where I've ended on a positive note. But in this one, I thought, no, we're gonna end on something that's really quite sad and just a little bit depressing. Because why not? Not everything has a happy ending, guys. Yeah? I know we all think that Disney and Pixar movies are great, but this is real life. So think about it. Rashford style. We've seen a lot of stories like this, really, haven't we? And I always like try and give some advice. I'm gonna skip that. What can you say? Yeah, your world's gonna be turned completely upside down. I mean, it already has been, but I can only imagine the aftermath. However, I do love your initial perspective on things. Doing this for not just yourself, but also your kids. That is admirable in a time like this. Anyway, guys, that is gonna do it for this one. A very varied True Off My Chest episode. Really hope you did enjoy it. No doubt, one of the most, I guess, yeah, varied, eventful, differing subreddits out there, if that works as a word. You know, you can get some truly wonderful, wholesome stories, but then just like that last one, heartbreaking stories. And that's kind of what I love. You just don't know what's around the corner. If you do want more True Off My Chest stories, where I'm going to give no spoilers, who knows if they're going to be fun, sad, terrible, heartbreaking, phenomenal, just anything, check them out right here, down below in the description as well. Drop us a like, follow, subscribe for more daily Reddit content. I will see you guys all tomorrow with some more phenomenal Reddit stories.